Let me start out by saying that I work for two different companies. I'm mainly employed by Professional Software Engineering, where I'm a project manager for Department of Defense government contracts that deal with instructional technology and distance education. I also have my own company called Prescriptive Training Solutions Incorporated that I do some odd jobs for different corporations and universities and things like that. I've been doing this about 9 years. Most of the things I've learned are from experience. Most of the protocols and safeguards I'll share with you today deal not only with project management, but especially in the area of distance education project management. And what I'd like to go into today is that we find ourselves that if we're not careful when we enter into project management, we seem to kind of rush in, and we'll normally find ourselves in one of these situations right here. Our workshop goal today, I just want to talk about a few of the foundations for working distance education projects. And our topics today, we'll talk about a statement of work. We'll talk about how I use an instructional technology plan when I enter into my projects, how I apply the instructional technology assessment, how standards and evaluations affect the project, and then the last slide or two is just about contract management. I apologize for the system here. I'm going to have to be flipping back and forth sometimes with the time requirement. I may just stay to the slides a little bit and try to share with you the quick knowledge that I've had in project management. The first area I'd like to talk about would be the statement of work. Traditionally, these things are customer driven, but normally consultant guided, and you have to be real careful on this. A lot of your statement of works when you get into projects, a lot of them initially are verbal, and that's really dangerous, whether they're verbal or you get them over the internet. And when I say customer driven, they normally are to provide you what kind of work they want to have accomplished. This becomes dangerous, especially on the DE side, with all the terms and terminologies that are out there. You'll get statements of work, and we'll speak to this, but they'll use terms like distance learning, distance education, distributed learning, blended learning, interactive distance learning, multimedia interactive distance learning, synchronous interactive distance learning with a blended touch, and it goes on and on. The problem, I'm sure you understand, is everyone's knowledge of those terms differ. And so when you're talking about a legal binding agreement on work, we need to be sure those are correct. I've found out that it's always good to find out the purpose, the need of the statement of work. What is it that they think they want to do, and why do they need to do it? That's always helped me in my projects, finding out, is there a real need, or is this just someone's, I want to have web-based training, therefore let's just develop it. Directives, find out from whom they come. Find out who the leader, find out the person that's in charge, and that will keep you out of a lot of trouble if you can do that. The objectives, what's the bottom line? What's the bottom line for the work? What is it we're supposed to be able to accomplish when all is said and done and everybody's paid out all the money and we've met all the timelines? What are the objectives? And sometimes these are not clear. And something I move up front is timeline and budget. What you'll find out many times is that they have an unrealistic timeline. In the world of instructional design or development, many of you know that it's a long, hard process. People have come to me before on projects and say, I need a training course on, say, leadership. It needs to be 5 modules long, and oh, can you have that done in 30 days? And I only have $5,000 to do it in. Well, from that point on, the answer is normally, well, I'm not sure I can give you what it is you want. Intent is very strong. I try to find out the exact intent. You know, a lot of times you can have directions. People say, for example, I'd like to find a different approach to get the cheese. And so you say, well, I'm not sure I understand your intent, but here's a different approach to get the cheese. Now, whether the intent was to get to the cheese or the intent was to live and get to the cheese is a different intent. So that's very important.